Hi, we are back this week on Innovating India. Today we have with us Meghna Suryakumar, who's joining us from Bangalore. She's the founder of a company that's actually driving credit to the unfunded sections of our society. Let's go over to you, Meghna. Tell us a little bit about the big idea. You are in the fintech space, you're in the data economy space, and you're doing something that India is battling with for a long, long time.
So CreditWatch is an AI-based platform, and we provide active insights and credit intelligence to financial institutions and businesses. If you look at the landscape in India, right, we have 63 million small businesses in India. We have about 1.6 million companies, out of which, a very small universe of them are listed entities. So if you look at the entire universe of registered and unregistered businesses in India, only 4% of them have rated in terms of a credit rating agency. 96% of them are not. So this has kind of created a gap, which we call the data dark region, because of which, these kind of businesses are not able to get access to competitive financial products and services. And a major portion of this segment is heavily underbanked. And CreditWatch is, unlocking the potential of these industries by making them digitally rich companies with a lot of enhanced information about them available to their lending partners, to their potential customers, so that they can do better trade and they can get better credit.
How daunting is this task? Because you're trying to uncover data from companies that are not disclosing data or that are not part of the formal economy system. I mean, every year we hear the finance minister talk about this dark space, right? And you're trying to throw some light into that space. So just take us through a little bit on the challenges that you've encountered working in this space.
So we've been doing this for 4 years. When we started this company in 2006, we had 1 or 2 sources of data on these entities, right? And over the past 3 to 4 years, we have about 2,500 different sources. So one of the most challenging things was a lot of data that's available in India is in an unstructured format, right? That means the right information is not just easily available. If you go to a more robust economy and a more data-rich economy like the US, all the information is easily available, consumable digitally. But that had not happened in India, and that's happening over the past 4 years. So that's a big challenge that we've kind of overcome, and because of the government's initiatives in this space, where the government has taken a huge policy move on digitizing data. They've come up with a DigiLocker where a lot of documents are being issued now digitally, right? And we've built the India Stack, right, along with iSpirit, where there's a lot of different exchanges and protocols in terms of exchanging information and in terms of interconnectivity for different activities like payments. That creates a lot of data again about these entities, right? You can now, because of UPI and because of all of the digitization, there's a lot of data you get in terms of financial transactions on these entities. So over the years, yes, we've overcome a lot of challenges in terms of getting access to this kind of data, but because of GST, because of the India Stack, a lot of this kind of data about unregistered entities is now available, of course, with their consent.
Just take us through the kind of clients that you work with. You have public sector banks, private sector banks, and what are the kind of requests that they come up with typically?
So we work with almost every kind of financial institution and financial services model in this country, right from the largest PSU bank in India to an international bank to an NBFC to a digitally fintech who's venture backed. And all of them are looking for insights to enhance the credit file on a particular borrower. And the second thing they're looking for is if they have given a loan to a particular borrower, they're looking for insights to understand the borrower behavior after dispersal, to look for any early warning signals, because the NPA problem is another huge problem that we have in the country today. And even after giving out the loans, a lot of loans are going bad. So the CreditWatch insights and our intelligence can be used not only at the time of lending, but it also can be used after lending to monitor borrowers. And this is one of the 2 large requests that we get from our customers.
Did you have a tough time convincing financial companies, institutional lenders to come on board for this service?
So the first 1.5 years was a challenging time for us in terms of convincing the institutions to trust. At that point, we were a 10-person startup. Of course, we are much larger today. We are almost 60. But luckily for us, I think that there was a lot of interest from the banks themselves because of what had happened with ILFS at that point and a lot of other scams that had happened. They were also making proactive measures to improve the technology and analytics at their end to kind of prevent these losses. So we were able to get onto pilots with these banks and give them a chance to use our product. And after they saw the results, we've been lucky that we've had most of these institutions have signed up with us. We have over 20 plus customers today.
So now data economy is a very prickly subject also in India right now, because rules are still being formed. The Indian government is still trying to figure out what's the best way forward. How does that impact you? And also privacy. That's another concern that comes up, right? When you get into credit score and different aspects of monitoring the financial health of a company or of an individual. So how are you keeping that balance?
So we've always been mindful of that. So even in terms of my own background, I'm a lawyer. I'm licensed in 2 countries, New York and India. And when we set up this company itself, we understood the impact of regulations on the kind of work that we do. So whatever public data that we source is what we call RTI-able or open data. India has signed on an open data treaty, and they make a lot of information available to the public for consumption. And then if you look at data that we get from unregistered small businesses, it's taking their consent. So we don't take any private data without their consent.
The future, I mean, you've been touted as one of the future leaders for tomorrow in India, driving grassroots innovation. Just tell us, what are your survival mantras or tips for young startups who are working in the unexplored spaces?
So when we started CrediWatch, right, there was a lot of wave of funding on B2C and e-commerce startups. And we were in the B2B space. So some of the struggles that we faced then are kind of similar to the situation that we have today because of the crunch in the economy. So one of the key things that we did in the beginning was bootstrap. That means we managed with our own resources. We managed to secure small contracts with customers, and we kind of bootstrapped, and we didn't raise large amounts of funding in the first year, but we focused on building the product. So from that perspective, if you had an innovative team today, you need to bootstrap and focus on building your product at this point. That's what I would say. And the second thing is one thing we've found out that if you're doing the right work and you have the right product market fit, the investors will find you. You don't need to find them. So that's my advice for everybody. And that's what happened to us for every round of funding, that the investors found us because, they felt that what we were doing kind of fit into their mandate. So I would tell startups at this point to focus on building the product that fit and finding product market fit. Because if you're doing the right thing, then the investors, is their job to look for the right startup. They'll come find you.
What does innovation mean for you, Megna? How do you define innovation, and how do you nurture culture of innovation?
So for me, innovation is a process that solves a large problem, right? It's not making something wonderful or very inventive, but it's actually following a process to solve a very difficult problem. So innovation is all about that for us, right? And even in CrediWatch, we are big believers of the lean startup methodology, which means that we like failing when we innovate. For us, failing fast is the way to innovate. So every iteration, we learn something from failure and we innovate again, and then we make it better and fail less next time. So for us, innovation is to keep finding ways to fail less each time.
So COVID-19 is actually prompting a lot of companies to either pivot or they'll fade away, right? So what's your advice, whether big company or small company? How do you, structure, or how do you drive that innovation DNA in a company?
So, pivoting just for the sake of COVID is not something I would advise anyone to do, right? You just need to stick to what you're doing if there's a large market and an opportunity. Unless, for example, you were in the hoteling industry and then, next 2-3 years, there's not much happening in travel and tourism. That's a different situation. But if you are in a sector, right, that has only a medium impact because of COVID, I would not advise you to just pivot because of COVID, but I would advise you to stick to what you're doing and, weather the storm.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Megna. We wish you the very best.